Primarily conversational snow yesterday and a few spotty areas of accumulations in the lowlands. It's time to look at our next snow threat of Saturday. While I'm expecting it to be very similar to this, it's still worth taking a look at. I'm also going to take a look at what's coming up in the upcoming week. I'm meteorologist Hannah Leach bringing you this update. National Weather Service watches and warnings. Everything west of the Cascades has been canceled, so there are no advisories, watches, or warnings. By the time most of you are watching this, the winter weather advisory in the Cascades will have also expired, as that is set to expire at 4 a.m. Also, as a side note, the National Weather Service did cancel the winter weather advisory for the lowlands earlier because of warmer than forecasted conditions. I'm going to go into why that was the case here on our next slide, which is our setup slide. So, as you may recall, I previously forecasted this low pressure system on Monday, which was parked off of the coast of Vancouver Island to take a loop-de-loo around the eastern Pacific before coming back up towards the Washington coast. That's approximately the line I had it on. One thing I failed to see before this was happening the day of is this last part of the track from pretty much right here where it's starting to go straight towards us and then curving up towards the Washington coast is actually pretty close to our classic windstorm path. So if I clear this map here so I can show you where our actual classic windstorm path is. Normally, our classic windstorm path would have a low pressure system forming in the Pacific, or have it be an X typhoon that would travel across the Pacific, generally from due west to east, and then come up our coast and generally rapidly strengthen. That's how we get our biggest windstorms. And for people who want the biggest possible windstorm, you would want that to make landfall somewhere between the Columbia River and the Olympic Peninsula for the highest wind gusts in the Portland area. The low pressure system yesterday was not a strong low pressure system, only being about 1007 millibars compared to a standard pressure of 1013 millibars. And for comparison, our biggest windstorm by wind gust, the Columbus Day storm, was 960 millibars. So I will put back on here the low pressure track. Now, instead of my previous forecasted one, I'm going to put the actual track on here. So because of that track, that brought stronger than expected southerly winds to come up into the Willamette Valley. Gusts in Portland hit 28 miles per hour compared to my forecast of 10 to 15 miles per hour, which meant that Portland got about, I think it was 6 degrees warmer than my expected high of 39 degrees, and that raised the snow level higher than what I was anticipating. Okay, now that that's done, I will go on to the setup for Saturday. So, this is another BC slider system, but unlike the one we just experienced, this one will not be parking off the coast of Vancouver Island for a couple days. Instead, it's just going to be sliding right on south and weakening. It is expected to go into Oregon around Saturday early morning. The timing of that is going to dictate how much snow we are going to get, even though I don't expect a lot of accumulations here in the lowlands. It's going to be a lot like yesterday in that sense. Right, so on to our forecast notes. One thing I will note for today is that black ice may result due to some melting and refreezing, especially because of how much precipitation we had. However, because I've checked the current temperatures at PDX, I think if you are in Portland proper, you're probably fine. The suburbs, a lot of them are getting close to freezing as of 2 a.m. So that's where you need to be a little bit more careful on. Saturday, based on when I'm expecting that low pressure system to get close to our coast, snow levels may start at the valley floor again briefly, but rise throughout the day when you are not under heavier showers. Sticking patterns will be similar to what happened yesterday, though, so I would expect widespread accumulations then of probably 500 feet and above, with some spotty accumulations down to the valley floor, probably traced to an inch again for that, and really only under the heaviest showers if you want any sort of accumulations. I will also note as we go into next week that some models are hinting at a backdoor Arctic blast pattern from Tuesday to beyond the 7-day forecast, what I like to call clown range. For anyone who doesn't know, a backdoor blast means cold east winds because the primary cold air is east of the Cascades. A lot of times that can mean shallower cold air than our traditional deep Arctic blasts. There's even less certainty on precipitation. I'm sorry for the typo there. And because of that, I'm just going to hold my forecast from yesterday when it comes to the precipitation. But we will see what happens as we get closer to that event. Because I'm not expecting the next 2 days to be mainly dry, I'm just going to skip the timeline, go straight to our 7-day forecast. For our friends in the South Valley, highs will remain in the mid 40s from today through Monday, with Saturday being the only real chance of any sort of precipitation. And as we go into next week, highs will probably be in the low 40s for Tuesday and Wednesday. If a backdoor Arctic blast happens or a backdoor cold snap, the cold temperatures don't always make it down towards the South Willamette Valley, so that is why high temperatures are going to be a little bit more subdued, at least right now, until finer details can be processed. Low temperatures will start around 30 degrees before starting to cool off as we go into next week. And for the Portland metro area, I bumped up the high temperatures a couple of degrees to account for the warming starting temperatures and for more sunshine than previously expected. So highs will now be in the mid 40s for the next couple of days before dropping back into the lower 40s on Saturday with that brief chance of snow before going back to a rain snow mix. And on Sunday, Monday, go backing up to the mid 40s before dropping down for that potential backdoor cold snap or Arctic blast. Currently, I have split the difference between the coldest suite of models, which the coldest models I have seen have highs in the upper 20s. The warmest models I've seen have highs in the upper 40s. Now, I do finally, for this below average temperature suite, have one daily record cold temperature of 24 degrees. I will note that the Portland metro area at this time of year, the record low temperatures tend to be right around 20 degrees. This one is an unusually high one, so it is a little bit more vulnerable to breaking than other low temperatures around this time. So that is going to be it for this video. I will come out with another update tomorrow on an update on Saturday's threat and to see which way models are leaning for next week. If we do get a backdoor blast, I think my plan for videos is I will come out with updates on Thursday night and Friday night and then take Saturday night off because that would have meant that I would have had, I believe, 8 videos in a row at that point, and then come back probably Sunday night at that point, assuming everything's still on schedule. Of course, everything's subject to change in our wild world of weather. So until then, stay safe out there and take care.